I was eating lunch at the mall when a woman ran up to me and grabbed my arm with tears streaming down her face and said, "Please help. That man over there took my son." She was pointing at a man about 50 feet away who was speed walking toward the mall exit with a little boy. I turned around for 1 second to grab my bag, and when I looked back, that man was holding my son's hand and running away, she said through sobs. I screamed, but nobody stopped him, and I called 911, but look at him. He's almost at the doors. I looked at the guy, and she was right because he was maybe 30 feet from the exit and moving fast. I looked around, and everyone in the food court was just watching like it was a movie. Security was nowhere. This lady was completely hysterical, and that man was practically dragging this kid toward the door. I didn't have time to think about whether the man may be dangerous or what the right thing to do was, because in about 15 seconds, that guy was going to be outside and gone. So I got up and started moving toward the exit. I walked fast at first, but the man must have seen me coming because he sped up and grabbed the kid's arm tighter. I started jogging, and he started half running toward the exit while dragging this little boy behind him. The woman was screaming somewhere behind me, and I broke into a full sprint. I caught up right as he reached the doors and threw myself between him and the exit. "Get out of my way," he said. "You're not going anywhere with that kid," I told him. He tried to shove past me, and I shoved him back. "You don't understand what's happening right now," he said. "I understand exactly what's happening, you psycho," I said. He tried to push past me again, and I grabbed him by the shirt and held him there. The boy was crying, and the woman ran up and grabbed her son and pulled him into her arms. The man lunged toward her, and I pushed him again and shouted, "Don't touch them!" Then security was there, and then actual cops were running toward us with their hands on their weapons. I stepped back and pointed at the guy and said he just tried to kidnap this kid. 2 officers rushed past me and tackled him face first onto the tile. I watched them pin his arms behind his back and cuff him while he screamed that this was insane. The woman was holding her son and crying and thanking me, and I felt this wave of relief wash over me because I actually did it. I actually stopped a kidnapping. I was thinking about how I was going to tell this story for the rest of my life when I felt something slam into my back, and suddenly my face was on the ground too. I must have had the wind knocked out of me because the next thing I know, the cops had me face down on the cold tile in handcuffs about 10 feet away from the kidnapper, who was also cuffed and face down. Cops were everywhere asking questions and talking into radios and trying to figure out what just happened. I kept telling them to check on the mom and the kid and make sure they were okay, but no one was listening to me. I watched one cop walk over to the woman and start talking to her while she held the boy. Another cop joined them, then another. The woman was crying and pointing at the man on the ground. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when I watched one of the officers crouch down next to the kidnapper and say something I couldn't hear, then take his handcuffs off while I was still cuffed on the floor. They helped him stand up, and he immediately started walking toward the boy. My head started spinning as I watched 2 officers approach the woman and turn her around and put her in handcuffs while another officer picked up the boy. I had no idea what was happening. A cop crouched down in front of me. "Why did you let him go?" "He's the kidnapper," I shouted. "Who told you that child was being kidnapped?" he asked. "The mother," I said, and I nodded toward where she had been standing. The cop looked over his shoulder and then back at me with this exhausted expression. "That woman lost custody 18 months ago after a judge ruled she was a danger to that child," he said. "The man you stopped is the boy's father, and he has full legal custody. There's a restraining order against her, which means she's not allowed within 500 feet of that kid." I felt all the blood drain out of my face. "You didn't stop a kidnapping," he said. "You helped one."